Picture two plates side by side. On one, a grilled chicken breast. On the other, a single green leaf. Now here's the twist gram for gram. That leaf can pack more protein than the chicken. Sounds impossible. Right, but it's true. And the wildest part, you don't need a farm. You don't need fancy equipment. You just need a little patch of soil. And the right seed? Today, I'm walking you through 10 plants that out-protein meat plant them once. And some of them will feed you for decades. Stick with me. Because number 3 is something most home gardeners have never even heard of. And number 1, it might just change the way you look at your backyard forever. Welcome back to Backyard Blooms. If this is your first time here, hit subscribe because what we're about to dig into is going to surprise you. Let's start with a tree that practically begs to be eaten. Moringa. If you've spent any time around tropical gardening communities, you've probably heard people call it a miracle tree. And for once, the hype is actually earned. Picture a small farming family in South Asia. No refrigerator, no grocery store nearby. But they have one moringa tree in the yard, and that single tree gives them leaves for cooking, pots for stewing, and even seeds that can purify their drinking water. That's not folklore. That's just Tuesday for millions of families who've relied on this tree for generations. Here's the number that should stop you. Fresh moringa leaves carry about 9 grams of protein per 100 grams. Dry them into powder, and that number jumps to 27 grams, rivaling chicken. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, moringa contains all 9 essential amino acids, making it a complete protein. In the plant world, that's incredibly rare. Growing one is simple. Full sun. Sande. Well-draining soil. It hates wet feet. Space your trees about 3 meters apart. Or keep them pruned short if space is tight. Water deeply, but not often. You'll be harvesting leaves in as little as 8 months. Bonus tip: a single crushed moringa seed can clear murky water. Ancient communities used this trick long before modern filters existed. So tell me, would you grow a moringa tree, even in a small backyard? Next up is a plant that's probably sitting in your pantry right now and getting zero respect. Lentils. The boring backup plan when you forgot to go grocery shopping. At least, that's how a lot of Americans see them. But walk into a kitchen in India, Ethiopia, or the Middle East, and lentils aren't a backup plan. They're the main event. Rich, warming stews that have fed billions of people for thousands of years. There's a reason this tiny seed has survived every empire, every famine, every shift in how humans eat. Here's the number the grocery store never tells you. Dried lentils carry roughly 26 grams of protein per 100 grams more than beef. By weight, Harvard School of Public Health ranks lentils among the very best plant protein sources on Earth. And a 2021 study in the journal Nutrients found something even more interesting. Regular lentil eaters held onto muscle mass better as they aged. Growing them is refreshingly easy. They love cool weather, between 18 and 24 degrees Celsius. In light, well-drained soil. Sow seeds about 2.5 centimeters deep, 15 centimeters apart. They need very little water. And here's the bonus. They actually enrich your soil with nitrogen. As they grow, harvest when the lower pods turn brown and rattle. Quick tip: plant heavy feeders like corn right after lentils. They'll thank you for it. Have you ever grown lentils yourself? Or only ever bought them in a bag? Now here's a plant where the protein number alone doesn't tell the whole story. Asparagus. Those slender green spears that push through the soil in early spring, before almost anything else dares to wake up. There's something almost magical about it, like the garden whispering that winter is finally over. On paper, asparagus only carries about 2.2 grams of protein per 100 grams. Not exactly headline-worthy. until you hear the rest. Because one asparagus crown, planted just once, will keep producing fresh spears every single spring for up to 20 years. Add that up over 2 decades, and the math changes completely. It's not about protein per bite, it's about protein per decade. The ancient Egyptians grew this over 2,000 years ago. Roman emperors reportedly paid fortunes for it out of season. That's not just a vegetable, that's a legacy crop. To grow your own plant crowns in early spring, in deep, rich soil with a pH between 6.5 and 7. Dig trenches about 30 centimeters deep. Space crowns 45 centimeters apart. Here's the hard part. Don't harvest for the first 2 years. I know, it's painful to wait, but that patience builds the root system that feeds you for decades to come. Bonus tip after harvest season. Let the ferns grow tall. They're quietly feeding next year's spears. So, would you wait 2 years? For a harvest that lasts 20, picture a warm summer evening. A bowl of bright green pods, dusted with sea salt. Something cold to drink nearby. Simple, satisfying, almost impossible to stop eating. That's edamame young soybeans, picked before they fully mature. It's become trendy in restaurants over the last decade. But here's what most people don't realize. This isn't some new health food fad. Edamame has been a staple crop across East Asia for over 2,000 years. And the protein number backs up the hype. Fresh edamame carries about 11 grams of protein per 100 grams, making it one of the highest protein vegetables you can eat raw or lightly steamed. But here's the real twist. Unlike most plant proteins, edamame is a complete protein, containing all the essential amino acids in proportions similar to meat. In fact, a 2020 World Health Organization report cited soy protein as nutritionally equivalent to animal protein. That's about as strong an endorsement as you'll get from the world's top health authority. Growing it is simple. Full sun, rich, well-composted soil. Sow seeds directly after the last frost, about 4 centimeters deep, 15 centimeters apart. They're fairly drought tolerant, but like consistent moisture, while the pods are filling out, harvest when the pods are plump and bright green, usually 75 to 90 days in. Bonus tip, steam the pods whole. The shell naturally seasons the bean inside. That's exactly why restaurants serve them that way. Would you grow edamame yourself? Or just keep buying it frozen? Quinoa has had quite a glow up over the last decade. It went from an obscure Andean crop almost nobody outside South America had heard of, to a health food store staple practically overnight. Light, versatile, with this satisfying, slightly nutty flavor that works in salads, bowls, even baked goods. But here's what the trendy packaging on the shelf never tells you. Dried quinoa carries about 14 grams of protein per 100 grams, and it's one of the rare plant foods that delivers a complete protein. All 9 essential amino acids included. It's so nutritionally self-sufficient that NASA actually studied it as a potential crop for long-duration space travel. Think about that for a second. A grain good enough for astronauts. The Incas called it the mother of all grains. It sustained their civilization at altitudes where almost nothing else would grow. Growing your own is easier than you'd think. Quinoa loves full sun and actually prefers poor, well-drained soil. Too much fertilizer makes it bolt before it's ready. Sow seeds thinly, about 1 centimeter deep, then thin seedlings to 30 centimeters apart. It's remarkably cold tolerant and drought hardy once established. Harvest when the seed heads dry out and the seeds brush off easily, usually 90 to 120 days in. Rinse thoroughly before cooking to remove the natural bitter coating, called saponin. Bonus tip, the young leaves are edible too. Treat them like spinach while you wait on the seeds. Did you ever assume quinoa was too exotic to grow at home? If you've never heard of winged beans, you're not alone. And honestly, that's exactly why this channel exists. In Southeast Asia, especially Papua New Guinea and the Philippines, winged beans have earned a nickname that says it all: a supermarket on a stalk. Because almost every part of this plant is edible. The pods, the leaves, the flowers, even the roots. Imagine a single vine in your backyard quietly handing you 4 different foods. Now, here's the number that makes this plant extraordinary. Dried winged bean seeds carry between 29 and 39 grams of protein per 100 grams, rivaling soybeans, and easily outpacing most meats. Back in 1975, the National Academy of Sciences in the United States actually called winged beans one of the most nutritionally promising crops on the planet. And yet, 50 years later, most people in Europe and North America have still never even seen one. Growing them takes a little warmth. They love hot, humid conditions, full sun, and something to climb a trellis or fence works perfectly. Plant seeds about 3 centimeters deep after the last frost. Then water regularly. Once established, the vines grow aggressively. Start harvesting young, tender pods around 60 to 90 days in, and let a few mature fully if you want to save seeds. Bonus tip: the tuberous roots taste a bit like a sweet.com. Nutty potato. Roast them just like any root vegetable. Pods, leaves, flowers, roots. That's a 4-in-1 plant. Would you grow it? This one has a history that goes all the way back to ancient warriors. Stay with me. Hemp seeds. Yes, the seed, not the leaf. And it's one of the most complete foods nature has ever produced. They carry this warm, slightly nutty flavor, perfect scattered over salads or blended into smoothies. But their story stretches back more than 10,000 years. Ancient Chinese texts actually listed hemp as one of the 5 sacred grains. Here's what most people still don't know. Hemp seeds carry about 31 grams of protein per 100 grams, and they deliver a near-perfect ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. Researchers at the University of Manitoba described it as almost ideal for human health. Ancient Scythian warriors reportedly ate hemp seeds to fuel themselves on long military campaigns. And Viking burial sites across Scandinavia have turned up hemp seeds stored right alongside weapons and tools. Food fit for a warrior. Apparently, for thousands of years, growing hemp is surprisingly forgiving in most temperate climates. Full sun, deep, well-draining soil, and very little maintenance once it's established. Plant seeds directly in spring after the last frost, about 1 centimeter deep, and space them generously. It grows fast, often reaching 2 meters in a single season. Harvest the seed heads once they're fully ripe and dry, then thresh to separate the seeds. Bonus tip: hemp's deep taproot breaks up compacted soil, making it an excellent crop to rotate in before something else. Would you grow hemp as food? Even if it raised a few eyebrows next door. This is the one I promised you back at the very beginning. The plant most gardeners have never even heard of. Imagine a bean so tough, it can produce a full harvest with less water than almost any other crop on earth. That's the tepary bean small. Dense, intensely flavored. Indigenous peoples of the Sonoran Desert, in what's now Arizona and Mexico, have cultivated it for at least 5,000 years. It comes in white, brown, speckled, and black varieties, each with a rich, earthy flavor that puts ordinary beans to shame. Here's the number that makes it remarkable. Dried tepary beans pack up to 23 grams of protein per 100 grams, and they carry a lower glycemic index than most other legumes, which makes them genuinely valuable for managing blood sugar. Researchers at the University of Arizona studied tepary beans extensively and found something striking: their unique protein structure may actually offer protective effects against type 2 diabetes. And yet, outside of indigenous and heritage seed communities, almost nobody grows them. Growing tepary beans means thinking like a desert, not a garden. Full sun, very well drained. Even poor soil, they actually struggle in rich, wet ground, Sow seeds directly in warm weather, about 3 centimeters deep. Then centimeters apart. Do not overwater. These beans want dry feet. They mature fast, often in just 60 to 80 days. Harvest once the pods turn dry and papery on the vine. Bonus tip: save seeds from your best plants each season. Tepary beans adapt fast, growing stronger with every generation in your specific soil. Had you ever heard of tepary beans? Before right now. The next one has been called the most productive protein plant per square meter in the world. Tree collards, a perennial leafy green that genuinely never seems to stop. Tall, sprawling, purple-tinged plants that can keep growing for decades, some reaching the height of a small tree. In parts of California, there are tree collard plants over 40 years old, still producing leaves, still being harvested, still quietly feeding families who planted them generations ago. Picture that for a second. A single cutting, planted by someone's grandparent, still putting food on the table today. On their own, tree collard leaves carry about 4 grams of protein per 100 grams. Not a huge number at first glance, but because they're perennial, producing year-round in mild climates, the protein you harvest from just one plant over a decade absolutely dwarfs most annual crops. It's not a sprint. It's the long game. Portuguese settlers brought tree collards to California from the Azores, where farmers had grown them for generations. In the 1970s, ecological gardener Alan Chadwick helped revive them in the United States, and seed-saving communities have kept them alive ever since. To grow your own full sun to partial shade, rich, moist, well-draining soil. Plant rooted cuttings rather than seeds. They rarely set viable seed. So root a stem cutting in water or moist soil instead. Give each plant about a meter of space, water deeply during dry spells, and harvest outer leaves regularly to keep new growth coming. Bonus tip: a light frost actually improves the flavor. The cold converts some starches into sugar. Would you grow a plant that could feed your family for the next 40 years? From a single cutting, and here we are, the plant that made me start digging into all of this in the first place, chaya, also called Mayan spinach, or tree spinach, and it contains more protein than almost any leaf on earth. Picture a large, leafy shrub that grows like a weed in warm climates, asking almost nothing of you in return. While quietly producing leaves packed with nutrition, the ancient Maya civilization relied on it as a primary food source for centuries. It fed entire communities. Long before anyone was counting grams of protein on a label. Here's the truth that should genuinely stop you in your tracks. Fresh chaya leaves carry around 5 to 7 grams of protein per 100 grams, but more importantly, they're extraordinarily dense in iron, calcium, and vitamin C, often surpassing spinach, kale, even broccoli. A study published in the journal Plant Foods for Human Nutrition found that cooked chaya compares favorably to conventional vegetables across nearly every nutrient measured. The reason you've probably never heard of it. It stayed confined to Mesoamerica and the Caribbean for generations. Industrial agriculture simply had no interest in a plant nobody could patent. One important note: chaya leaves must always be cooked before eating. Raw leaves contain compounds that break down completely harmless once heated. Just boil or sauté for at least 5 minutes. Growing it is refreshingly simple. Full sun, well draining, fertile soil, and it propagates easily from stem cuttings. Within months, you'll have a productive shrub. Harvest the outer leaves regularly, and it rewards you with constant new growth. Bonus tip: chaya grows so vigorously in warm climates that a single cutting, shared among neighbors, can supply an entire community. It really is the definition of a gift plant. Had you ever heard of chaya before today? If not, you're officially part of a small group of gardeners who now know something most people don't. So let's bring it all together. 10 plants, 10 ways to out-protein meat. Right from your own backyard. Moringa, the tree that purifies water and feeds a family. Lentils, the pantry staple that quietly enriches the soil. Asparagus, 20 years of harvest from one single planting. Edamame, a complete protein you can snack on straight from the pod. Quinoa, the grain NASA trusted enough for space travel. Winged beans, a 4-in-1 plant most of the world has never even tasted. Hemp seeds, the ancient warrior's fuel. Teperi beans, a desert survivor that protects your blood sugar. Tree collards, 40 years of leaves from one single cutting. And chayo, the forgotten Mayan superfood that started this whole journey. Here's what I keep coming back to. None of these plants needed a factory, a feedlot, or a supply chain to feed people for thousands of years. They just needed someone willing to plant a seed and pass it on. You don't need acres of land. You need one pot, one cutting, one decision to start. If even one of these plants surprised you today, hit subscribe. There's so much more buried knowledge waiting to be dug back up. And tell me, which one are you growing first?